What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Salt and Pauper video. Today we're going to start the set review for the brand new set, Brothers War, coming out in just a week or two. We're going to go ahead and start with the white cards, but first joining me is Josh, aka Mayo on the internet. What's going on, Josh?
Not a lot. Just excited to get through this.
Cool, cool.
You set?
You excited for Brothers War?
Of course I am. Yeah. Especially since I saw that recoil. Oh, it was so pretty.
Oh yeah, the worm coil looks great. All right. Unfortunately, that won't be in our review. We're going to be doing a Pauper review for both Pauper Constructed and my Pauper Cube. But the worm coil is sweet. No ignoring that for sure. All right, jumping into the white cards, we have our first one, Aeronaut Cavalry. This is going to be a 3/4 human soldier for 5, 4 and a white. It's got flying, and when it enters the battlefield, it puts a 1/1 counter on another target soldier you control. I can't imagine a 5-drop that doesn't win the game on the spot being in Pauper Constructed. It's going to be great in Limited. 3/4 for 5 flying is already above rate, and it comes with a 1/1 counter, but yeah, I don't see this making an impact anywhere outside of sealed or maybe draft. I do like that soldiers are an archetype again, though. That's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty big in draft. But yeah, 5 is a really hard sell. Like, unless you're Bleak Coven Vampires, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, or Vampire Sovereign,
yep.
You're not going to be played unless you have a cost reduction.
Yeah. Looking at Tolarian Terror.
It's a fine draft card, though. Not a terror. The terror is insane.
Next up, Airlift Chaplain. It's a 1/1 for 3 mana, 2 and a white. It's a human cleric with flying also. But when it enters the battlefield, this one mills 3 cards, and you may put a plains or a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among the cards milled this way into your hand. If you don't, put a 1/1 counter on Airlift Chaplain. That's a whole lot of text, and like the very last bit of it makes it really bad. It says, among the cards milled this way. If that was omitted from this text box, the card would be pretty good, I think. But, man, like, if this was white, 1/1 flying Gravedigger that if you just didn't have a creature to get back, got a 1/1 counter and became a 2/2, or you get a plains if you need to make a land drop, or you're using it for discard fodder. I mean, this has a lot of restrictions already, right? A CMC 3 or less card plus a plains is not a ton. Why couldn't this card just say from your graveyard? Man, I don't know. I'm not happy with this card. This card seems pretty bad. I don't even know if it's good in draft.
Yeah, this card's it's a bit of a miss for me. It's got like you touched on it, mana value 3 or less, kind of that hurts, but really hurting is the among the cards milled this way. I do wish it was more along the lines of a Glowspore Shaman, where it was you mill 3, then you can do that incredibly restrictive thing, and if you don't, then it gets a counter. Or even if this was a 1/2 flyer, there's so many different tweaks to this card that would make it possibly playable. But as it is right now, I don't see it making a splash outside of draft.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't know if you want it.
I agree. I think it's questionable at best. All right. Moving along, we have a creature that might actually see some play because it's a mana sink, which are always cards to at least be aware of. We have Ambush Paratrooper, which is a 1/2 human soldier for 2, 1 and a colorless. But this has flash and flying. And then it says 5 general mana, just 5 colorless. Creatures you control get 1/1 until end of turn. I don't know where this is supposed to go, I'll be honest. A flash soldier gives me like raise the alarm vibes, and so you're supposed to be on like, surprise trade duty, but a 1/2, even with flying, is not trading into anything. And like, the 5 mana seems like a lot to sink in for an Anthem effect. Don't get me wrong, like, it's a fine mana sink, especially in Limited. This card will certainly be played in Limited. But yeah, I don't know where this wants to be. Like, it's not an aggressive on curve card. It's not a it's not a particularly like good trading card like Cathar Commando was. So I don't know why the flash is on here. And the mana sink seems like really expensive for what soldiers want to do. So I don't know where this has a home, but it is a mana sink, so at least it's something to be aware of.
So I think this card comes on 4. Like on turn 4, you play it.
Sure.
Untap, play land, Alpha Strike, pump. Just flash is not flash; it's pseudo haste. But also this set having power stones, which we'll get to later, is really good for like these kinds of generic mana abilities.
Right, and Power Stones are a colorless artifact that comes into play tapped and taps for 1 colorless mana, but it can only be used for artifacts or activated abilities, right?
No. So it's everything you said until the what it can be used for is correct. It cannot be used to cast non-artifact spells.
Oh, okay. That is an important distinction.
Yeah. So, with Ambush Paratrooper, it is completely possible that you can activate this thing twice.
Mm-hmm.
And if you activate it twice, you're winning that game.
Almost certainly. Yeah. Like what? Oh God, what was it called? Like, there was a white spell that was white, colorless, instant, white creatures you control get +2/+2. And that card won a lot of games. So.
Oh, geez, that card was insane.
I can only imagine that 2 activations of this is very, very backbreaking. Especially in the deck it wants to be in, right? Soldiers are like a swarmy on the ground, make a bunch of tokens type of deck. So, looking for common token producers though, I haven't seen any, and that's kind of what I'm looking for if this archetype's going to be good and limited. So we'll keep our eyes open, see if we find any in white.
Yeah, but this Paratrooper is the payoff for go wide.
Sure.
I don't think you want more than 2 in your deck, and even then, like you'll be fine with 1.
Yeah.
But solid card, flash, flying, both very useful abilities. I don't hate this. It's not making a splash outside of limited though.
Yeah. All right. Next card is Deadly Riposte. It's an instant. For 1 and a white, and it deals 3 damage to target tapped creature, and you gain 2 life. This card seems like a really bad Swift Justice to me. Swift Justice had 2 mana instant, just straight up destroy a tapped creature. Like, we have fallen real far from that here.
Well, I mean,
I don't hate gain 2 life, but
yeah.
But yeah, 3 damage is not enough for me. Especially when I'm looking at cards that are like 3 mana that deal 5 damage, or like we've got Destroy Evil out of the last set that was 4. We've got Swift Justice, which is just straight up destroy a tapped creature. I don't know. This having the restriction that it has to be tapped and it only dealing 3 is real tough for me to swallow here.
Yeah. I think this is the most push they could make it though. At 2 mana, 3 mana, destroy tapped creature, gain 2 life at instant speed, totally acceptable.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could really make this any stronger. It's doing everything you want to in a combat. When like you kill the thing, you wind up at a higher life total than what you were when they tried to swing at you. It's a good card.
I kind of wish this just did like deflecting palm impression almost, like prevent the next 3. No, just prevent the next 3 damage that would be dealt from a source of your choice, and then gain 2 life. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on this card, but maybe the pre-release will change my mind.
Yeah.
That being said, I think this is only ever getting played in limited, like in a format with cast down and snuff out, and you're never gonna see this in a deck list.
Funny enough, if it said deal 4 damage to target tapped creature,
it might be played.
I would totally play it against hot dogs.
Yeah, it might be played.
But yeah, the cards need to be super pushed to even break it into constructed. So. Yeah, this one isn't it.
Next up, we have a Disenchant reprint. We're actually going to skip this because it's not a new card.
Although very relevant for the set.
Definitely.
Every deck's going to have a Power Stone
All right.
that this will not miss.
Next up is Lauren's Escape. So 1 mana instant. Target artifact or creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Scry 1. Now we are finally getting close to what I think this type of effect wants to be. We saw Take Up the Shield in Dominaria United. We've seen like the shield tokens out of New Capenna for the 1 white. We've seen Emerge Unscathed. We've seen so many of these 1 white mana cantrip. We had what was it? Karametra's Protection.
Oh yeah, +2/+2
Yeah,
for enchanted creature.
when it gained like indestructible if it was an enchantment, right?
And hexproof if
Yeah.
it was an enchantment or enchanted.
So we've seen a lot of iterations of this type of effect, and all of them lacked some inherent card advantage or card replacement that really was what it needed to be playable. And Scry 1 is very promising for me on this card. I think that it's getting real close to playable. I think Hexproof and Indestructible are 2 very strong keywords, and I'm into that. I mean, Ranger's Guile's insane. And I like that this can target an artifact, not just a creature, so you can whiff those disenchants we were just talking about. If you need to, which is super interesting. And then the Scry 1 is just added card pseudo card advantage through card selection. So I'm really happy with this card. I think it's finally getting close to where I would consider putting them in a deck. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think we're getting close finally.
Yeah, this card's really good because it says target artifact or creature. Hexproof and indestructible with every single form of removal in Pauper. Mm-hmm. So whatever you target will be safe, unless your opponent has another instant speed effect.
The only thing that kills it is like an edict.
Yeah, like Lauren's Escape is really just going to be, all right, I counter your removal spell, and I look at the top card of my library.
1 mana counter removal spell, Scry 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Dispel doesn't do that. This card is really good. I'm excited for this. I don't know what I'd play it in.
Yeah, maybe it has a like a place in Cogate, maybe.
Maybe, but they actually have a slightly better version that does with edict effects, where it just phases out and gets a 1/1 counter.
Yeah.
And so it's not better than that, but this card is real close.
Yep. Yeah, we're getting real close to playable with these effects. I think we're on the right path.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
It's to the point where if you play it in your constructed deck, you're not automatically losing.
Yeah.
So it's something.
All right, we got Military Discipline, our first aura of the set, and it's a flash aura to boot. Enchantment aura, flash enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, enchanted creature gains first strike. An enchanted creature has +1/+0. This is like a weird version of like Dueling Rapier for me. In white instead of red. And I gotta say, like, the bar for enchantments, like auras specifically, enchant creatures, has been set so high because of the inherent whiff potential and just 2-for-1ing yourself. You really either need some sort of recursion and a huge blowout ability, or like card draw or something, so that the risk is worth the reward. And I don't see any of those keywords here. I see first strike and +1/+0. I think that, like, I don't know, most white combat tricks are going to be better than this. Like, I would rather play Escape. I would rather play Escape over this.
I mean, it's a card. It's
got great art.
So something to note about this that is easy to miss. The creature doesn't have first strike. forever, and it also doesn't have it for as long as it's enchanted.
Yeah, no, it just gives the creature first strike until end of turn. So even if they remove the aura, the creature still has first strike.
Yeah, and
I
so
just
that's
I don't
really
think
good.
anyone is going to let this resolve, then kill the aura. They're just going to kill the creature.
Well, yes, but it's still relevant for if not if they need to kill it with damage, but if they have like an enchantment removal effect, a la disenchant, that the creature still maintains that
Yeah, I
ability.
can't imagine that that interaction is going to happen all that often. And if it does, it's going to be in limited only.
It'll be unlimited or against um oh geez, was it Ponza with their put target artifact or enchantment on the bottom, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So it's rare. I don't think this is making
No,
it
it's
into
common.
constructed. The scenario is rare. I I don't think this card's making it into constructed, but it
Well, if
is
the
something to look
scenario
out
is
for.
rare, it's not even legal in Pauper, so I wouldn't worry about it.
All right, there you hear it. You heard it here first, folks. Military discipline is rare. Don't even worry about it. It's just a misprint for the set symbol there. It's supposed to be yellow.
All right. Moving right along. Hopefully, we get a good white card soon because I haven't seen very many. Phalanx Vanguard is a 2/2 for 2 mana, a white and a colorless human soldier with vigilance. And it says whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it gets 1/0 until end of turn. This is a playable white card. I don't know that a deck exists for this card at this moment, but I've seen decks that are running like, the bone splitters, like the white deck wins, the white weenie enchantment or equipment decks that are running, Leonin Sky Knights and um, Porcelain Legionnaires and that kind of stuff, and they're just suiting them up with some bone splitters or some Volshock Morning Stars or something like that, and they're or a Leonin Scimitar, and they're just like getting them in there. Getting added value out of your enchant or your equipment drops here isn't terrible, and it might even run like Clowning Around, which is an interesting card to think about because it is Pauper legal. Um, and Artifact ETB is like a synergy that exists, and being able to get 3 a lot of the time is not all that bad. So, you curving this into like, if you can go Phalanx Vanguard on turn 2, and then turn 3 you can go like, I don't know, like Clowning Around and Bone Splitter, or Clowning Around and some sort of equipment or another artifact creature to follow it up. This could attack for 5 on turn 3, which is not nothing.
First of all, I would like to say I hate you. All right, I love clowning around, and I was so excited for that. No, that clowning around in this card is like my dream scenario. I wanted to put a deck together for these two cards. The fact you just called it out, really, I gotta scrap the whole deck idea. Gotta find something else
It's not original
silly to
enough.
do.
I thought of it.
It's not, yeah.
And that was a blind react too. That was literally the first thing that came to my mind.
A table flip right here. All right. Thankfully the computer's not on the table, just the monitor, so I don't know if you'll hear it. All right. But seriously, Phalanx Vanguard can swing for up to 6 power, assuming you roll low on your clowning around on turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
This card is really cool. Actually, 7 if oh no, just 6 because you have a tapped artifact. You have to untap artifact land for 7. Which I don't even want to think about
True.
that.
Artifact land.
But this
8
card,
if you've got an Ornithopter.
no,
Or a
no.
Springleaf Drum on turn 1. If you go Springleaf Drum on turn 1, Phalanx Vanguard on turn 2, Artifact land, Clowning Around, tap a clown and the Springleaf Drum and a second mana, play another Clowning Around. You could attack for like...
I want you guys to put in the comments right now. Have we gone too far?
put in the comments right now the dream scenario for attacking for the most with this card that is legal in Pauper. I want to see what the absolute nut draw is and how big this card can get on turn 3.
And if you don't have a Lotus Petal in there, then I want you to delete what you were writing and
add Lotus
retype it.
Petal. All
But
right.
yeah, this card could be really cute.
Yeah.
I like it. It's at the very floor. It's a bear with vigilance. Like it's getting in. It'll be a good card. This could very easily make it into constructed.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. Let's see. What do we got next? Power Stone Engineer is a 2/1 for a white and a colorless. It's a human artificer and it says when it dies, create a tap Power Stone. So this is our first Power Stone card that is Pauper legal. First off, do you think Power Stones have a place in Pauper? Like, do you expect to be playing Power Stone tokens soon?
Power Stone tokens could actually be very viable. Just they can't be used to cast colored spells,
Mm-hmm.
but they can be used for like everything else. So honestly, if this could even make it into some version of an affinity deck, it's it just makes your stuff cost two less, or your affinity stuff cost two less.
Oh, that's
So
true.
it's
Yeah, because they do
not,
double duty with affinity.
yeah, it's not
Sure.
unthinkable. Um, it's a really good card in limited. This is going to be one of those ones that you want to pick.
Yeah,
Pick probably
especially
two
if
or
you can
three of
trade
them.
with it.
Oh yeah. Anything that comes in makes something, or sorry, makes something when it comes in or dies is going to be relevant.
This is my first card that's like a maybe on the cube list. I think this card's high enough power that it's considerate for, or it's in consideration for the cube.
Mhm.
Um, I don't suspect it'll make it in. I think it's going to be close, but it's probably just quite not good enough in what White wants to do right now, which is make more dudes, not more artifacts. Um,
Yeah, I think that
but I think it's on the right track. I think we're getting close.
the closest effect to this that's existed for a while that isn't in the cube is Nest Invader. And for as long as Nest
Hmm.
Invader is not in the cube, I don't think Power Stone Engineer would
Yeah,
for a similar
that's a
effect makes
great
it
comparison actually. Nest Invaders really like the Eldrazi spawn for the Power Stone.
in.
I'm into that comparison, but that's a good point. Nest Invader is not in the cube.
Mhm.
Um, all right, what's up next? Oh, Prison Sentence. It is our next aura enchant creature. It's for 2 and a white, 3 mana total, and it says when it enters the battlefield, scry 2, and enchanted creature can't attack or block or activate activated abilities. So it's an arrest with scry 2 on it. So we're slowly power creeping on the arrest pacifism sort of line here. Um, I'm kind of into this. I mean, scry like this is just a clear upgrade for the cube from arrest.
Oh yeah. No, there's
Um,
no contest
yeah, this is
there.
just a straight upside for arrest. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think this will ever see play uh, in like constructed Pauper though. Not while Journey to Nowhere exists.
Yeah. Um, the only consideration would be if there's enter the battlefield effects that become really important, but Deadly Dispute
Yeah.
is still king in
Yep.
Pauper. So as long as Deadly Dispute is played, I don't think Prison Sentence makes it in.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
yeah, the three levels I see of like of common playability, limited, then cube, then constructed.
Hmm.
This easily mixed in cube.
Yeah,
Like
I'm with you.
arrest
This
is
is
the
almost
card.
certainly going in cube for arrest.
Hmm. But yeah, solid card. I do like how it affects your library in a meaningful way.
Hmm.
I'm happy
Scry
to
2
set
is
Scry
very close
2.
to akin to draw a card. Like you're almost certainly hitting a card that
Yeah,
you want to hit next turn.
right. And at the very least, you're getting rid of cards that you don't want to hit within
Yeah.
the next two.
Hmm.
Like Scry 2 is a very effective mode of card advantage.
Hmm.
Hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's my thoughts.
Good card. Good card. I'm into that. Next card up is Recommission. Oh, I'm excited about this card. This is the one we were talking about. A sorcery for 1 and a white, so 2 mana for Recommission. Return target artifact or creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If a creature enters the battlefield this way, it enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it. Notably, this is not a trigger like first day of class that puts the 1/1 counter on it after it enters. It enters with the 1/1 counter. So be aware of that interaction. You cannot Lightning Bolt a core Skyfisher that was brought back to play with this card. It has 4 toughness when it enters the battlefield. Be aware, people are going to make that mistake. And I think that core Skyfisher is likely one of the biggest targets for this card. I think that this card is almost certainly going to target Skyfishers in some capacity. I like that this card could hit the Knight from Modern Horizons, the 2/2 for 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 black that
Breathless Knight.
has Breathless Knight. That's it for lifelink and flying. And when it ETBs from the graveyard, or when another creature ETBs from the graveyard, it gets a 1/1 counter. So this comes into play. It's a 4/4 flying lifelink for 2 mana, effectively, if you can discard it. Or, if you just rebuy it after they kill it. You combine that with some Omens of the Dead, some Skyfishers, some White Mane Lions or something where you can really kind of flicker in and churn out some value with ETB effects. You might have something going here. I like the Omen of the Dead and Skyfisher loop for value. So this card fits really naturally into that style of deck. And at worst, you can get, your Militia Bugler back with it, and then find a new card and, keep the chain going for value. Worth noting, this also gets Synthesizer back. So Boros is looking at this card very, very heavily. I think this card's really good. It's almost certainly going to see constructed play. I don't know what it'll be played in. I think there's probably going to be some play in Boros Synthesizer. I think Mardu Synthesizer probably looks at this card, but I'm not sure what you can cut for it because that deck's really tight on cards. And I think that some Pestilence deck, or maybe not Pestilence, but a black-white, Graveyard Reanimation style deck, black-white Sacrifice or something, will probably see this card. I think this card's really, really good. I don't think it'll make cube, but it'll definitely make constructed play.
Yeah, Recommission is just it's what it was missing from Unearth on that night previously. It's weird seeing a 2 mana spell just be an upgrade to a 1 mana spell that does the same effect, but that 1/1 counter is so big.
Agreed.
And then I would also want to point out, Stormscape Familiar makes white and black spells cost 1 less to play. Could be something in there in a new kind of Esper build.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, some new Familiars build, maybe?
It's not going to go infinite, but it'll get big, And in the white-black attrition style lists, they lose to not drawing cards. So having that emphasis from blue, especially with things like Accumulated Knowledge and Accumulated Knowledge number 2, you're going to... That's it. You're going to have a full hand when you need it. Sure. And you'll just be able to churn through weenies the entire time. Just play Stormscape, just play draw cards, and then the rest is just dudes you swing with.
Yeah, I actually really like targeting the 2/1 flying gain a life draw card with this card.
Yeah.
Getting a 3/2 in the air, gaining a life, drawing a card. This card can target a lot of really relevant cards, and I'm into it.
Yeah, white-black or Esper Flyers could totally be a thing.
Yep. And I really like the idea of playing this in Boros Synthesizer. That deck, it literally hits every single creature in the deck except maybe the 2 Guardians, if you're running them, and some decks aren't even running them. And then it hits, every good artifact. I mean, if they're running Golden Eggs, you can buy them back after you sack them to gain life or filter. If they're running Spare Supplies, you can get it back after you sack for the card. If they're running Synthesizer, you rebuy your Synthesizer after you sack it to anything you want. This card's really good in the Boros deck, and I would be amazed if it doesn't find a home there.
Yeah, this card is it's a dream come true for me. I want this.
This is my highlight card for white so far. Maybe we hit an absolute banger, but we're nearing the end of the alphabet on white, and this is definitely the best card we've seen so far.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I would venture to say, because I have taken a little bit of a look at the rest of the colors, that this is the best one, period, in
That's
the
fair.
set for
Yeah, yeah.
Pauper.
All right. Well,
Um,
let's see what the next one is then. Survivor of Corliss is a 1/1 for one white human soldier with first strike, and you can exile it from your graveyard to scry 2 for 2 mana. Um, this feels a lot like the Omen cards for me, except it doesn't have flash and it's a creature instead of an enchantment. But it gives you that same kind of, play it for what it is and then cash it in later for extra value. So I look at the exile text as largely additive. I just evaluate this as a 1/1 first strike for 1. Um, and that's not bad. Being a soldier especially is important in this limited. So I haven't seen too many soldier payoffs, just the 1/1 counter, dude. But I first strike in limited's always good. So I'm keeping an eye out for this card in limited for sure. I don't think this is going to make the cube. I think that 1/1 first strike just is not really enough for a 1-drop, but it's close. I mean, you could look at like maybe playing this instead of an Elite Vanguard and not being too upset about it.
mhm.
And then you have Constructed. I just don't think a deck exists that's going to play this card. Like, I think that most of the white weenie decks are worried about evasion to slap their bone splitters and stuff on. They're not trying to just fight them through creatures. And first strike isn't too relevant when like you're playing into like 2/3s and yeah 5/5s and things like that. So I don't know. Not impressed with this card. I think 1/1 first strike is probably fine and limited, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere else.
Yeah. Survivor of Corliss is not a really good card on its own. If you're putting it into the graveyard and you're scrying 2 off of it, I don't know why you'd be doing that instead of like using Maestro's Initiate. Maybe you're in color restrictions, but I mean, granted, Maestro's Initiate costs 5 to do it from the grave, and it draws you cards. Survivor kind of barely draws you 1. Yeah, it's just a 1-mana 1/1 with first strike is not really where Magic is anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty far behind the power curve of the format these days.
Yeah, like it's so far behind that you need to put this together with another card, and anytime you have to do that to make a card playable, you're
It's not.
taking a huge hit to power. It's not playable. So like honestly, thinking about it, you have to put like 2 bone splitters on this to make it effective, and it still dies to lava dart.
Makeshift
So
conditions.
yeah,
Makeshift
but
conditions exists.
exactly, and your opponent draws a card when they do that, like 99% of the time. So it's yeah, Survivor of Corliss is not something I'm excited for outside of limited. But when you combine it with Ambush Paratrooper, and you've got some Power Stones, 2/2, a 3/3, first strike, there's nothing to shake a stick at, which it looks like Survivor of Corliss is doing in their art.
That's true. All right. What's up next? Union of the Third Path. It's an instant for 2 and a white. Draw a card, then gain life equal to the number of cards in your hand. I've seen a lot of buzz about this card. A lot of people are calling this like a new Tron card. And as a Tron player, I'm going to say right now, you're wrong. This is not a good card. And it's not even good in control. Like, the amount of hurdles you have to jump through for this to be better than just... God, what is it? The 3 mana instant, gain 6 life, get a creature or land back from your graveyard?
Pulse of Marasa.
Yeah, better than Pulse. For the amount of work you have to do, you have to be basically full hand before you cast this card for it to be better than Pulse of Marasa. And drawing a card is almost always substantially worse than just getting the thing you want back, unless you have literal no creatures in graveyard. So, I don't know. I'm not impressed with this card. Maybe I will be proven wrong and this card's really good, but man, do I doubt it. I cannot see a path that makes this card good.
There's a similarity with this one and a card that recently came out with Kicker from Dominaria. Like to where it needs that kind of a synergy with removal spells that draw cards. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like this isn't going to be good in ones where you're playing land and bolting something.
Yep.
You need to replace every card in your hand, or every card that you're playing needs to draw you more than one card.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're going to get the value out of this. I don't see why you'd play Union of the Third Path uh, over honestly, Weather the Storm, or if you wanted to be really cute and be color restricted, Life Bursts. But
Ew, get out of here.
it's cheaper and it gets you more life.
I just think
On average.
I think that the comparison that best fits for this card for me is the 2/1 flying ETB draw a card, gain 1 life, like for the same exact cost. Sure, it doesn't have flash, but like I would rather have a 2/1 with flying than have the option of getting more life by like 2 life any day. Like those cards are just substantially better, and play them instead.
Yeah, yeah, Inspiring Overseer. And if you need Inspiring Overseer number 5, play Priest of Ancient Lore.
Exactly. All right. What's up next? Warlord's Elite. Wow, a 4/4 human soldier for 3 mana, 2 and a white. What's this? What's this cost? What's this? What's this downside? As an additional cost to cast this spell, tap 2 untapped artifacts, creatures, and/or lands you control. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Another way to make Power Stones useful.
Yeah, Power Stones aren't too bad for that. Hmm. This puzzles me. Because this card could be insane. I think that if there is like a white weenie clowning around equipment, artifact synergy kind of deck with like the Vanguard from earlier, this card's in it. Because being able to go clowning around into Warlord's Elite 2/3 as a curve, into like the white cost reduction spell that gets cheaper for the number of creatures you play,
Yeah.
like you could really churn out some 4/4s very, very quickly in that deck, while keeping pressure on with like some go wides, because you've got all these 1/1 tokens and these like Vanguards that are getting +1 or +2/+0 in the turn. And then you've got, your Porcelain Legionnaire, which triggers your Vanguard and also is just a good white weenie 2-drop that has first strike, so you can throw your Bone Splitters on it. I'm seeing the makings of a good white weenie Pauper deck, and it's been a long time since that deck has had like traction or enough power to really be behind it. This card might find a home there, and I'm probably gonna mock something up and test it, because this plus clowning around plus Vanguard, like as cute as it sounds, I think we're getting close to good enough.
Yes. And then it's completely possible that runs red for the synthesizer and the rebirth combination.
Coloth Rebirth.
Yeah, and then honestly, Recommission still hits this.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's gonna hit a lot of stuff. You can get some really sizable creatures out, and go wide real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I mean, being white and red allows you to play that. Oh, I'm blanking on the name. It's the +2/+0, the Trumpet Blast and
Warflare.
Flashback.
Oh, Rally the Peasants.
Yes, you can play Rally the Peasants.
And you get to run Prismatic Strands, which has proven to be an absolute all-star in the Kagates deck, so if you can run it, you should be running it.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this guy. He is.
Oh, and the robots from
exciting.
Clowning Around are white, which is relevant for Prismatic Strands. Okay, I'm on board. I think there might be something here.
Mm-hmm. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm into that.
But yeah, outside of that, like Warlord's Elite's totally fine. You go 1-drop, 2-drop, tap those 2, play this on 3. You're not unhappy about doing that in draft or in limited at all.
No, in limited, this card's going to be great if you can cast it on curve. I just don't think you'll cast it on curve very often.
Well, yeah, but even if you draw it later on in the game, you just need to make sure that you
It's
have
still
2
a 4/4.
creatures,
Yeah, it's not bad.
or artifacts, or lands.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
like this card is
late in the
castable.
game, it's a 5-drop 4/4, which is like on par for what you would expect anyway.
Yeah. It's
So
just
like
missing vigilance. So,
yeah, I'm not mad at this card. I think this card's quite good. I think there might be a home for this in Pauper Constructed. I'm gonna keep my eye on it. I'm gonna do some mock-ups of like a white weenie kind of swarm tribal and see what happens with it, because I think that's promising.
I would even venture to say that this could have a spot in cube. I
Um,
don't know where it goes in,
hmm,
but it's got exciting numbers on it.
I think the cost is too much for cube to be consistent because it's a singleton format. I think that this card is going to thrive on consistently being cast on curve, and I think that its power lies in coming down on curve. So I don't think this card is good enough in cube, but I will defer to the test data. We'll see how it feels.
Yeah, and something cute in the art is represented like two artifacts way behind them are
Mm-hmm.
massive.
Oh yeah.
So to insinuate that those would come down before these guys is really kind of funny.
Yes, definitely. All right. Looks like our last white card is going to be Yodian Medic, which is a 1/4 human cleric soldier for 2 and a white with lifelink. Uh, does white need a lifelink turtle?
Um,
I don't think this is that good. I mean,
in
in
what
limited, it'll be
format?
fine.
Yeah. Hmm.
But like Cube's never playing this, and I don't think it's ever getting played in constructed. 1/4 lifelink just is not where we are as a format.
All right, so this card's got something that kind of bothers me. All right, it's got two types that follow the that kind of vie for the same level of importance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Cleric
human
soldier.
cleric soldier. Why couldn't Airlift Chaplain also be a soldier?
Human cleric soldier. Yeah, I'm with you.
Like it, it irks me.
What are the types that matter for party?
Oh, cleric.
Is that
There's
the only one? There's no soldier.
yeah, so cleric is the only one from here.
Okay.
There's wizard, cleric, warrior, and rogue.
I don't know why bard isn't on that anyway. Yeah.
Or
Okay.
barbarian.
If it barbarian too. If it only has one card for party, yeah, it's I don't even think it's going to be played in that deck. So this is almost certainly not good enough. You have any other thoughts for this?
No, play it limited. You'll be
Yeah.
fine. You'll be happy. Pump its power. Other than that, don't expect anything from
It's
it.
a good payoff for that 2-drop earlier that pumps everything for 5.
Oh yeah,
Making this a 2/5 is pretty good.
really good stabilization tool.
Yeah.
And,
All right, that go ahead and wrap up our white cards for the New Brothers War set. Go ahead and post below what you think the best card is. I almost certainly think it's Recommission, but we'll see how things play and how the dominoes fall for Constructed Pauper. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you guys have any other ideas, you think we misrepresented any power levels, or you found some synergies that we didn't talk about, go ahead and put them down in the comments. And as usual, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us grow. Appreciate you guys. And goodbye forever, unless I see you next time. Peace.